What is going on, y'all? For today's review, I have what I would go so far as to say is my most anticipated Christmas inflatable of 2023. This is the brand new for 2023 20-foot elf on a shelf being sold at Home this year for $200. Now, what I just said, this is the 20-foot elf on a shelf, is the first thing I want to bring up. It's not actually called the 20-foot elf on a shelf or the 20-foot scout elf. It's actually its official name. This isn't just like some tag. Its official title is Santa's Biggest Helper. They went with that as its official name, which for people who might not recognize it's from the elf on a shelf, you would think that name is pretty odd. But anyway, that's what it's officially called. But again, as I just mentioned, this is being sold at Home this year for $200. That's another thing to bring up, is that it's being sold for the same price as all the other 20-footers. Well, the only two exceptions would be the Snowman Family, which is a bigger one that's being sold for $350, and then that stupid Archway, which is being sold for $500. But that's a whole other conversation. But thankfully, thank Home that they did not jack up the price because of the licensing on this one. I mean, like that 20-foot Grinch at Home Depot. That one is $300, and the Hammacher Slumber ones are also $400, but those have the lifetime guarantee. But those are a big part of why those are so expensive is because of the licensing and because they're trademarked characters and whatever. But thankfully, Home did not jack up the price on this one. It's the same $200 as all the other 20-footers. As you can see, there is a FedEx shipping label on it, because I had to order this because my store only got a shipment of 2. They put one on display and then one still left on the shelf, and both of those sold out in literally a day. Whoever, they came in and bought them in literally one day. And the very next day after I filmed that walkthrough of At Home Christmas is when that store display was gone and everything. So I did end up having to order this. However, if you do order this, know that the shipping with tax and everything, this will come out to like $230. So realistically, you are paying more for that licensing because you have to ship it if your store did not have it. But it's not too bad. In past experiences, especially with with Lowe's is even worse with this, when they slap a label on it and just ship it out in its actual box art. Is they beat it so bad. I mean, I remember some people who got the Halloween ones when they first came out this year back in June. When they ordered those online and they came in they actually shipped, they were beat up so bad. Like I know Alex Infla, he ordered the Haunted Mansion grandfather clock. And that I think he actually said something about... No, I think it was actually the BJ's one where he had to return the Horseman because that one also came beat up. So that's why... That's a big point. All this circles around to one point of why I typically don't like to order in-store ones online for them to ship, because they actually come with box art. And I like putting them on a shelf. I like seeing, I like seeing them all organized on a shelf. Some people were getting this confused. Some people look at that Lumi Stella company, which is the company that makes the Elf on a Shelf products, was the company that made it. Nope, it's completely Gemmy. I know some people who aren't really familiar with Gemmy and recognizing Gemmy inflatables were thinking that was a tag for it was made by that company. Nope, this is a Gemmy one. That's just the tag for the Elf on a Shelf company. And as you can see, this is a tie-in with At Home and Elf on a Shelf and Elf Pets. Same thing with the globe and everything else. I mentioned this in the Globe's review. I absolutely love the box art. This is some of the best box art I've ever seen for some licensed inflatables. But as you can see, this is inflatable number 48 as part of their Christmas lineup. That's what that stands for. And it says LED. That really means LED C7s. It's not actually like the clipped LEDs on the back. But this did come from, because I did mention this a couple years ago, actually back in 2021 when I did the 20-foot snowman review, is that they do not have a warehouse that they ship out their products from. They actually just go find a store that has it and they slap a label on it and ship it. But that's, again, I can't really complain too much. They didn't really beat up the box, which I'm very grateful for. But that's enough talking about the basic rundown. Let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. I had to take a moment to cut the tape here. But they taped up the tab and everything because they shipped it in its box art, just this basic box. Good taping on the inside. Another one that you gotta appreciate, you know, when they actually do something right rather than lazy, just slap it on and move on. Now, I do think this one comes with, yes, it does come with colossal sticks, which is great. Awesome. And right off the bat, what I'm feeling right here is kind of medium thickness colossal fabric, which I'm already loving. Basic instructions. And then what looks like to be, I think that's a 125. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the box and we'll check out the fan. Unfortunately, this one does not have a tornado fan. It just has a basic run-of-the-mill YF80, but that shouldn't stop it. I mean, I have that 18-foot pumpkin raper from earlier in the year had an 80, and it inflated pretty good with this. I think it actually did have the same kind of medium thickness fabric, but don't judge it before you have it inflated, so let's go ahead and get this guy inflated. So here it is inflated. Right off the bat, just like what I instantly noticed with like the Frankenstein and whatever, is that it is just massive when you take a step back. When you get actually closer to it, you'd think it actually look bigger, but no, when you get closer to it, it actually looks much smaller. I still think it'll look absolutely amazing when it's in a whole line of them, but still. Taking a step back here, as you can see, it has, yeah, it does have 6 C7s, LED C7s, one in the present and then 4 in the body and 1 in the head. I did have to stake this one down. Obviously, you know, it's tall and skinny. You can't expect this to stand up on its own. Unfortunately, I am very devastated to say I have been bamboozled. This does not have colossal fabric all over. It is just here on his feet, and then from that up, so from his ankles up, it's just regular fabric, which is a pretty big bummer. I mean, still, it all comes down to, you know, how well will it hold up in the weather, which, I mean, if this will hold up fine, I'm happy, but if it's just going to be a problem, you know, that's another discussion. But something that I hate about this one is it's not, and I'm tall. I'm like 6'1". I've said that before. I'm 6'1" when I measure myself next to the inflatables, and even with my arm reached all the way up, I can't reach the tethers. So if you need to fix something up there, it's out of the question. You can't even reach it. This is one of the few Christmas colossals I own that does not actually have a second zipper, which is very interesting. Has one down by the fan, but that's pretty much it. But I mean, do you expect him to have a second zipper? This isn't like the giant snowman of Santa and the Snowman Family, where it needs some. Actually, the Snowman Family has 3 zippers, one on the 2 bigger, one each on the 2 bigger snowmen, and then one down by the fan. But this one only has 1. Even, I mean, yeah, that hat is what makes it 20 feet, but it's still pretty big when you take a big step back. I love the design. The one that actually At Home is giving away is he has his arms down by his, just straight down, and it looks so weird, and his face is different. I think it's the prototype version, or a different design that they had to pick from, but they picked this one, and I'm very glad that they did. It's much better, but it is really, really cool. The 2 tether attachments on the bottom are not on either side. It's actually on front and back, just like the 18-foot Pumpkin Reaper, which, I don't know, maybe it'll work better. It worked perfectly fine for the Pumpkin Reaper. I didn't notice any problems at the base. But also, one more thing before I show the nighttime view here is his collar here. You have to fix it when it's deflated. You can't, obviously, you know, you can't reach up there, but also I would have much rather preferred to actually be sewn on the inflatable, like as part of the inflatable, rather than its own separate thing, because how do you expect people to fix that 24/7? But same thing with his hair. His hair is its own separate piece. But that's pretty much the view during the day. Let's go ahead and get the night view. So of course, now that we've taken a good look at them, let's go ahead and rate them. So first up is design, and design, solid, instant 9 out of 10. This is I mean, when you think of, if you were to just think of the idea of a 20-foot elf on a shelf inflatable, I'd say that this would be one of the best choices to go with. And I'm very glad that At Home picked out this one rather than that stupid other one that I talked about, that I thought was the prototype one that they're actually doing a giveaway of. But you can, by the way, you guys can go check out At Home's Instagram page if you want to apply for that giveaway. But anyway, so instant 9 out of 10 for design. Then we got quality. Quality, it feels like it missed the mark just by a little bit. I mean, just those few details of like how it has an 80 instead of a tornado fan, and how it's not colossal fabric all over the whole inflatable isn't colossal fabric. That does affect the overall rating, but I'd go ahead and say 7 out of 10. It's still not terrible whatsoever. They could have put a 60 in this one. They could have used regular tether attachments. They could have given it regular tethers and stakes, but they did everything that you would think that they would do. So overall, I'd say 7 out of 10 for quality is pretty good. Then we got price. Price, again, instant 9 out of 10. I mean, yeah, you'd be thinking, how could you give a $200 inflatable a 9 out of 10? But they, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they could have jacked up the price exponentially just because of the license aspect to it. So, I mean, for them to keep it the same price as all the other 20-footers, you got to give them props for that. So I'd go ahead and say 9 out of 10 for price, because it's just about what you would expect it to be. I mean, sure, 190 like what it would have been last year or the year before or something. Actually, they all started off as 180. Sure, those would be better, but still, thankfully, they're not jacking them all the way up to like all of them could be 300 in the future. But thankfully, I'm very glad that this was only 200. So 9 out of 10 for price. Then we have the overall score. I gotta say, even though it's not as perfect as it expected to be, the whole thing lights up. Has a great box art, has a great box design. It looks very appealing. It's massive. It's a great showstopper, and it's going to look. I'm certain it's going to look great in this whole line of 20-footers. I gotta say the overall score is a great 9 out of 10, because I mean, those factors really, even if I knew that it had a 80, and because I haven't checked out any reviews on this one or anything, I had no idea what I was going into here. Even if I knew it had an 80 or it had regular fabric or whatever, I would have still bought this one. It would still be at the top of my list. This has been at the top of my list, and enough for me to even want to order it online, where, yeah, sure, you can go drive to the nearest store that has it and get it, but still, shipping it's enough for me to want to still buy it, is what I'm trying to say. But overall, I definitely say a 9 out of 10 for this one. It is an absolute must-have, and I very much recommend you guys go pick it up if you guys haven't already. I actually do not know of many people who have actually gotten this one, but still, it looks phenomenal, really. Even when it's right. I mean, some people were complaining that it looked too like tube-like, where it looked like it was just this one giant stick, but I gotta say that's not really how it looks like here. I like the how they actually did the indent here with the fabric to separate his legs there, where he's not like an exact tube, but he looks really cool. Overall, there's my review on the brand new for 2023 Christmas inflatable 20-foot elf on a shelf, or Santa's biggest helper, being sold at Home this year for $200. I'm the Inflatable Bastard. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.